Hi everybody, thanks for joining me as we take a look at your weather, your final call for the eclipse, which I'm sure you've all been paying attention to the weather for. Things are looking great, and for the rest of the work week for April 7th through the 11th. And I've had a lot of times this year where I've been calling for weather that nobody wanted to hear about. It's kind of just been one of those weather years, I think, over the last 12 months. The snow seemed to basically come this winter when people were kind of ready for snow to not come. There's been lots of rain when we wanted snow, and then there was lots of rain, way too much rain, several times, particularly in July, obviously, but also again in December. It's been a tough 12 months, but finally, I have really good news when we really want it weather-wise. We're going to get basically perfect weather for the eclipse, and that's not normal necessarily for the 8th of April. We could very easily be looking, whoops, almost lost my keyboard there. Could very easily often be looking at, and strangely, in the path of the eclipse, which kind of goes from eastern Texas up across the northeast, we're going to be the spot that has basically one of the few spots that actually has a pretty good chance at sun. Even western New York could get into some of these clouds. Burlington, northern Vermont, going to be amazing. Southern Vermont will also be amazing for eclipse viewing, whereas to our south, things were not nearly as good. You can see, unfortunately, this front is around Texas. I mean, there's some of these areas might get some peaks of sun, but essentially tomorrow they look pretty gray. It's not good eclipse viewing weather for the most part, but across New England, across Vermont particularly, it is. Of all the cities the eclipse passes through, the totality passes through, I would not have put money on Burlington being the best shot weather-wise. Now, that's good in many ways, because we get to see something pretty cool. Only happens a couple times in our lifetimes. And quite frankly, a total eclipse, a totality going over the top of your head happens once in a couple of lifetimes. Not often at all, but even if you want to drive a little bit, it's pretty rare to see the totalities. There isn't another total eclipse in the continental U.S. for almost 20 years. Might be more than 20 years. I think it's in the 2040s sometimes. So long time. This is not something that happens every day. Even to get close to total eclipse is very rare. So cool, very cool. You know all the stuff. You've been watching the news or paying attention to all. Please don't look at the sun unless you have glasses on, unless you'd like to not see again afterwards, or at least not see well for a while and have your eyes hurt. So get the welding shield out, or get the right glasses out, and then you can look at the sun. But should be fun tomorrow. Even here in southern Vermont, it's different. It's definitely different. Just even the 2 or 3% of we are away from the totality that lives us. It will not get nearly as dark here as it will in northern Vermont, but you'll still very much notice it. If you remember the eclipse that was, we were about, I don't remember exactly what our percentage was, but the eclipse that passed through North Carolina kind of went the other way across the United States last year. That one. It was quite noticeable in the middle of the day. This time it'll be much, much more noticeable everywhere in Vermont. Pretty cool. Weather cooperated. Really can't complain. Would have been kind of a bummer to be washed out on this, but we're going to get really great weather for it. And let's take a look at why that's going to happen. This is radar. Obviously, we do have a big storm to our west. That's staying to our west. Here's actually a little piece of the storm from last week that has just very slowly been creeping out, but that's actually saved us for the eclipse. So all that snow that was so annoying last week, that's going to be gone before the end of this week. And that is what saved us weather-wise for the eclipse. So there you go. Let's try to find the silver lining. Here's satellite imagery. This is visible satellite, so you can see very clear skies. A couple of clouds today. We were still getting a few clouds from our storm from last week, but it is pulling out. It is going to give us right in the sweet spot for tomorrow. Before these clouds start to approach, Tuesday we'll still have a decent amount of sun, because this is a very slow moving. This storm is mostly pulling to the north. We're going to get a secondary storm to form. We're going to talk about that because that will impact weather after Tuesday for the rest of the week with some rain. The rest of the week looks quite gloomy. So yeah, we're managing to get the best day in the last month, basically, sun-wise, in on eclipse day. Man, just couldn't have planned that better. And certainly in this week. I've had a ton of clouds. Today wasn't bad. Tomorrow's great. Tuesday won't be bad. And then a ton of clouds again for quite some time. So yeah, but good thing this time, it will at least be warm with the clouds, and any precipitation that falls will be in the form of a liquid precipitation. One closer view here as you start to see the sun set. Today, still all that clear weather over New York, Pennsylvania. That's headed in our direction for tomorrow. So yeah, good stuff. Let's take a quick look at temperatures. Hey, this is looking a lot more spring-like, not just across the U.S. either, even to our north in Canada. Basically, wherever there's not clouds, this is mostly clouds that are cooling off temperatures across the mountain west and the upper Midwest. We've got 50s, 60s, some 70s and 80s to our south. We are not going to see 70s and 80s, but we are going to see 60s. Tomorrow, we're going to flirt with 60. And if there wasn't any snow around, I'd be pretty sure we'd get there. And so for some areas, valley locations, you will definitely get 60 tomorrow. It'll matter whether you have snow on the ground or not in terms of high temperatures tomorrow. And even though we got a foot of snow last week at my house, I just started to see a few patches at the very corners of the lawn where already starting to see some green spots. Tomorrow, we're going to do that a ton. By Tuesday, when we will be in the 60s, pushing 70 probably in some valley locations. Not quite there, but pretty close. By Tuesday, we're going to see, we're probably going to be down to just snow piles, except for in the very highest of elevations. That snow is going to go quick. It does this time of year when you get it. That's the bright side, and there is no snow that I can see in the future, so we really are headed towards spring. Now, that doesn't mean we're headed for 70 and 80. We're not headed for summer. We have spring. At least sometimes we have spring in Vermont, and I think we're going to get a little bit of it this week. Let's take a look at the overall storm tracks. So here's our storm that's kind of over the upper Midwest today. It's not going to move real fast until it finally starts to die and get out of here Tuesday, Wednesday, and into Thursday. Now, on Wednesday, as the storm kind of lifts north, it's going to have some leftover precipitation that's going to head in our direction Wednesday. That'll be light in nature and showery in nature. So after a pretty relatively nice day Tuesday, Wednesday, we do get what's left of some of the warm front from this storm moving through, and it will bring showers, certainly a lot of clouds, and some showers on Wednesday. Then our storm, which means a little more business, which is going to get going across the southern part of the United States and then track well to our west, that'll get going, and this is going to bring in pretty significant moisture, particularly on Thursday, I think, as the storms to our south and west. It's going to push quite a bit of moisture in our direction, and by Friday, we're kind of in the showery wraparound phase of it, and by Friday overnight, we are going to cool off a little bit behind this system, but not significantly. Again, no snow or anything like that on the backside of it. So let's take a look at that 5-day forecast. Tomorrow, upper 50s. I think, like I said, valley locations hit 60 tomorrow. Basically full sun, perfect weather for the eclipse. It'll start off kind of cool. It's very dry tomorrow. One of the first kind of dry feeling days we've had in a while. Tuesday, clouds start to come in, particularly in the afternoon. But with a little bit of sun and some southwest flow, temperatures rise into the mid-60s, depending on how much sun you get. And if you have no snow left on the ground, and if you're in a valley, you could push close to 70. Tuesday will feel like spring. Get out and enjoy it, because then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, overnight lows come up. The rain is going to kind of hold temperatures down. It's going to feel dreary. It's not going to be cold. I mean, this is thankfully 15 degrees warmer than it was last week when we had precipitation, because we got all snow, or a lot of snow. But we'll have light rain Wednesday. The heaviest rain comes Thursday, and then light rain again and breezy on Friday as the front pushes through, and we're kind of on the backside of the storm. Temperatures in the 40s to around 50 on Friday. We start off real warm Friday. We'll probably lose a few degrees in the afternoon, and overnight we will kind of cool back off a little bit. Again, not too bad. The pattern does look pretty active even going forward from this. Let's take a quick look at those highlights for you. Near perfect weather for the eclipse. I've probably said that 20 times, but I'm going to keep saying it. Basically, if you want to be in the totality, probably you should already be there, but you can try to drive up there tomorrow. Just be prepared. It's going to be insane on the roads, especially with us being one of the few places that's actually getting the really good weather. So you got to be at least to Middlebury, at least to Montpelier, if you want to be guaranteed the totality. The maps that you see are pretty accurate, but a lot of times they're not drawn to like super specific scale, and places like Middlebury is only going to get 10-15 seconds of the totality. So you want to be at least there. It does show that you could be a little further south of that and maybe still get the totality. It's possible you might get a second or two of it south of there, but I was just reading an article today. NASA said, the maps that have been put out are, and then obviously kind of extrapolated off of in many cases, are not super precise. The latest ones that the National Weather Service has been putting out, they've tried to kind of shore that up so that people actually end up in the totality if they want to see it. But anywho, just be aware of that. So I would get at least to Middlebury, at least to Montpelier, and you're just going to get a few seconds of totality there. You really do want to leave now if you want to get to Burlington for it. And then you want to plan to it's going to take you all day and then maybe more to get home. It's going to be a disaster on the roads, but like I said, once in a lifetime kind of thing. Rain in 2 waves for the rest of the week. Wednesday, we get kind of that light rain. Then the second wave comes through with the heaviest rain Thursday that lightens to showers on Friday. Rainfall amounts will not be enough to cause flooding concerns. We could get an inch or two of rain, but it's going to be over a lengthy period of time. We are melting right now, but we're melting in a pretty orderly fashion, so I'm not worried. The rivers will come up. It'll look like a big snow melt day, but I'm not really concerned about any flooding. We'll have to keep a little eye on this, but I'm pretty confident in that. There's no ice jam issues or anything like that. So temperatures, much more like spring for the rest of the week, even if it's a little chilly towards the end of the week with all the rain, but still overnight lows close to 40 then because of all the clouds. So yeah, that's what's going on. Very excited about tomorrow. Get out there and enjoy it, whether you're staying in southern Vermont or if you're trying to get out to see the eclipse. Be careful out there. Be safe out there. Certainly the roads everywhere could be a little just jam-packed with people trying to get to see this kind of once-in-a-lifetime kind of event. And then otherwise, enjoy that. And then the rest of the week is not too bad. Tuesday is a great day to get out there and enjoy weather. So yeah, good stuff. I'll be back on Friday with a look at next week's weekend forecast. Oh, and I do want to give a quick shout out to my patrons before I forget. They help support what I do here at the West River Guy. If you have not subscribed to my channel before, you should do so. Helps make sure you don't miss any of my videos. And if you're interested in becoming a patron, that's certainly always an option. They get some advantages, and the link in the description below it takes you to my Patreon site. Talks about the advantages they get and some of the things they get and how their support helps the channel. So thank you for that. And like I said, we'll see you on Friday.